Do not be alarmed. It's just a couple of guys. Who are these guys? Ray Regina, beloved former mayor of St. Charles, lifetime educator, and Pat Crimmins, a Geneva lawyer, but he's actually okay. From Elgin to Aurora, from Naperville to Elburn, these guys are gonna talk everything. So, here's Pat and Ray.
Hello, friends. Along with Pat Crimmins,
Welcome.
Ray Regina, and we're in Batavia, Illinois.
Yes.
And we're in Batavia, Illinois because we're at the Windmill Fest, the annual summer event here in Batavia. And Pat, if I may, as we stand before the beautiful Depot Pond and the Mighty Fox, we've been to a few festivals now in our second year here on Just a Couple of Guys. Let's go back and kind of review where we've been.
There's no festival fatigue,
No.
but we have been to a variety of these.
Well, we started with Scarecrow, if you recall
Scarecrow,
correctly.
yes. I still have a little pumpkin on my shoe.
And you were good. If I recall correctly, at Scarecrow, we tried to get you to walk on those stilts.
That's right.
Guy walked around there, and I challenged you on that, but you
My
would not
insurance
do that.
guy wouldn't allow that.
But Scarecrow is, of course, the signature event in St. Charles.
Right.
Then we end up at a couple places in Geneva. I don't want to give them top billing, but we did go to two places, Merry Christmas, and we went on the Geneva Christmas Walk.
That's
and that
right.
was a lot of
That's
fun because we got to engage a lot of good people at that particular walk.
And we're Fox Valley, and we're everything, and we're also in Naperville, and so we're excited to get around town. And this brings us to the Windmill Fest, right? Have you ever been to this?
Don't forget, we were just before Windmill Fest. We were at Swedish Days. We don't want to not mention
I thought
Swedish
you
Days.
mentioned Swedish Days.
I did
Oh,
not.
Yeah. Oh, I love festivals, and I'm excited to be here. This is my first time. At the
My first
Windmill
time at the
Fest.
Windmill Fest as well. And by the way, the name of the band behind us, the band.
The band, yes.
It's
Thank
the
you.
band, and
Thank you,
they're
producer.
playing a lot of nice stuff.
Yes.
Listen, today we're gonna do a couple of different things. First of all, we're gonna have a conversation with the executive director of the Batavia Park District, one Allison Niemela.
Yes.
And she's going to give us the complete and total scorecard of what's going on here. We're doing this on Friday night, and of course, we'll talk about the events of Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
And then
we're going to take a tour of the Depot Museum, also known as the Gustafson Research Center.
well, I don't know what that
Kinda
means.
scary. Yeah.
but
Oppenheimer. We don't know what's going on here.
But Batavia, of course, you know, we do have Fermilab in Batavia.
That's right.
And
we won't say anything else
no,
about various
no.
local businesses.
Right. But in any event, we're going to go on a tour of the Depot Museum. Although I'll tell you, a substitute we could just talk to would be the mayor. Jeffrey Schelke is Mr. Batavia and Mr. History of Batavia. And I'm sure his picture's in there somewhere.
Right. Well, I thought he would be here, actually.
Well, you never know. He'll probably make an appearance.
He always seems to come
After
into our
40,
podcast.
when a guy's been elected to 42 years as the mayor of Batavia, you can be rest assured he's made a few appearances in a few different places.
Kissing babies by the entrance.
I
right?
suppose so.
Yes.
I'm looking out here at the green out there, and we're going to go over there later on and maybe take a shot at hitting the pin.
Maybe take a shot. There's a wild swan out there keeping people away. I don't know how they trained him, but he seems to be pretty sedate there. We don't have swans in St. Charles, do we?
Actually, there's one over in Geneva. Listen, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we return, we will talk to the executive director of the Batavia Park District, Allison Niemela. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. This is Ray Regina. Hey, the Kane County Cougars are back for the summer. The best family entertainment around features sunshine, baseball, and fireworks through Labor Day. With great food, entertainment, giveaways, and running the bases after every game, there's something for everyone at a Cougars game. And Thirsty Thursdays feature $2 beer, pop, and hot dogs. And on Sunday, a $15 ticket gets you $15 right back in concession cash to spend at the ballpark. What a deal for you baseball foodies. Come visit us at beautiful Northwestern Medicine Field this summer for your dose of sunshine, baseball, and fireworks. And make your family memories today. Well, we're back, and Pat, we're in the Gustafson research wing
That's right.
of the
yes.
Depot Museum.
Yes.
Only because we wanted to be quiet and peaceful, because there's a band playing outside. I think it's the Way Outs, and they're playing and making a lot of noise. And we want to have a good conversation with our special guest here. And who is our special guest, you might ask? Well, it's none other than Allison Niemela, the executive director of the Batavia Park District, and we welcome you to our podcast, Allison.
Thank you, and I'd like to welcome this royalty to Batavia.
Love Batavia.
We love all three cities, the Tri-Cities.
And Naperville.
And Naperville and Aurora and
Neighbor
Elgin
Vegas.
and all the others that listen to our podcast.
That's right.
Listen, let's get started first of all before we talk about Windmill Fest and what's going on here in Batavia this weekend. Let's talk about you, your background. How did you get to this position?
Once upon a time, it was a dark and stormy night.
Yes.
So I'm actually from the Quad Cities, and
By the mighty Mississippi, Old Man River.
Yes, yep,
The big girl.
that's right. You know it well. And I came out to college out here, Concordia University, and I thought my big dream at that time was to work for one of the national TV talk shows. So
In
Well.
what capacity?
I ended up applying at Oprah Winfrey,
Oh.
Jenny Jones, and Jerry Springer.
Oh, you wanted to what? Work behind the scenes?
I wanted to get into television broadcasting.
Oh, we have a producer here, maybe a podcast.
It's perfect.
All right. We
Well,
can talk
so-
afterwards.
So guess which one of the shows I ended up getting an internship with?
Oprah.
My dad, the judge, would have loved that.
Oh my.
Jerry Springer, but all the fights took place.
Sadly, yes. So I ended up getting an internship with the Jerry Springer
And
show.
you watched all those fights.
Watched them firsthand.
Oh my
and-
God.
Was this the show with all the paternity tests?
Oh, all kinds of goofy things.
Thankfully, I was watching PBS. Your dad was a judge?
He was. He was a judge. My mom was a school teacher. So I grew up
God love her.
with both of them as role models for public service. My brother's actually a police officer in Lombard.
God love him too.
Nice.
So I had public service surrounding me, and I realized after my internship that the Jerry Springer show was not for me. I'd rather promote fun for a living than smut for a living.
Nice.
And so I went the local government route and started off in the marketing. So I'm one of the first marketing directors to ever become an executive director for a park district in Illinois. So I broke some glass ceilings to get here, but the park board took a chance on me. I'm older than I look. So I have been in the field for 25 years.
Ray and I
I
were
will
talking
not,
about
I
it
will not
earlier.
ask her the question.
I've been in the field for 25 years, been executive director for the last 11. So
All right. 25 years. I don't believe that.
So 11 years here is what you're saying?
actually, I started here in 2000.
Okay.
So I started off as the director of marketing
That's
here.
23 years. Right?
But then Addison Park District prior to that
Oh,
for 2 years.
All right. So
Well, we
now,
appreciate
now
it.
here you're the chief. You run the Batavia Park District. You're the head executive. All right. So again, before we get into the Windmill Fest, talk a little about Batavia Parks. Just like Geneva and just like St. Charles, Batavia is blessed with a myriad of fine parks. Do you have a particular favorite?
I do. Actually, the Hull Quarry Beach is my favorite park and facility. It has a rich history. Used to be an old mining quarry, and it's chlorinated just like Centennial Beach in Naperville, and it has a lot of historic charm.
A beach, though. I always think when I think of beaches, I always think about somebody gets goofy and rough, or somebody sneaks in some booze, and all of a sudden you have a little fisticuff. Do you have that much of a problem with that?
What beaches have you been to, Ray?
I'm from Joliet, remember?
Oh, that's
we went to quarries. Remember?
Everything was like dusty from the mines.
Exactly.
So actually, the fine men and women in blue in Batavia, the Batavia Police
And they are
Department.
fine men and women.
Batavia Police Department does a great job of keeping those people at bay, and when we do have the midnight bored teenagers, they do a great job of deterring them, and we haven't had a problem.
As an executive director of a park district, you got to be an expert in a variety of things, from fowl to grasses to shrubs to I can go on and on.
How do you keep up with all that?
I love it. You know what? To me, there's so much opportunity and so much challenge, and I embrace it. You know, I've always thrived on challenges and creative problem solving. I consider myself a professional creative problem
You have
solver.
to be. Yeah, you have to be.
Just like you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Well, I solve problems every day
I know.
for a low fee.
And our tagline is "Your fun is our business." So I make sure that our staff is having fun, because if they can't abide by that, then this is the wrong business.
How about when you have one more question? How about when you have a series of trees that are dying? That's got to be a little bit of a problem. What's wrong, Pat?
Well, I just don't know if is that within your jurisdiction? Dead trees?
Well, so it is something we deal with at the Park District.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
we deal with the whole
Everything.
plethora of things.
Yes.
And, you know, a lot of it's educating the public on emerald ash borer, for instance.
Exactly.
Right,
You know,
ash
and
borer.
educating the public on.
St. Charles had a little problem with that a number of years ago.
You know, if it weren't for you guys, Elburn never would have had an ash borer problem. But they came out west.
All right, let's get to the Windmill Fest here, and more specifically, you told us offline that this fest, which goes back to 1956, had a different name. What was it?
It did. It had a different name that Ray was having a little bit of problem with. It
was.
It was called the Batavia Boo Boo Days. Like boo boo, like scratch and dent sale.
What was the point of the name, though?
So the
Were
Batavia.
people getting hurt on a regular basis?
Great question, but no.
Okay.
So actually, it was an opportunity for the retailers to sell all their scratch and dent items, their clearance items,
Oh, I see.
as a sidewalk sale. And so the Batavia Chamber, back in 1956, decided that they would have this Boo Boo Days right after 4th of July. So
Okay.
people were still in town. They still had all the
Right,
relatives around. Grandma's still hanging out for another week. You know, their aunts and uncles are still, you know, asking what else is there to do in Batavia. And the Chamber said, let's do this Boo Boo Days and entertain people. So what happened was street performers started to engage with the sidewalk sale. There was a tug of war that started on one side of the river to the other. There was a Miss Batavia pageant that was added into the mix. And then by the time the Park District was founded in 1969, the Park District took it over and made it a full-blown festival with, at that time, a marathon. They added the carnival, just a wide array of live bands and
Is the
funnel
Miss
cakes.
Batavia thing still going on?
It's not. Nope. Yeah, but Mayor Schelke might know exactly when that ended.
You
I don't
mentioned
remember.
running, and so I would ask the question, on Sunday you have a 5K.
We do. So we retired it in 2016 and we brought it back
Good for you.
this year. And
And for those that don't know, a 5K equals
3.1 miles.
3.1 miles.
that's right. Have you ever run a 5K
Uh,
or walked one?
Ray is a marathoner.
15. Anyway, we don't. This is not about me, though.
Are you signing up?
This is not about me.
Are you signing up? We accept race day registration.
I understand.
I'll tell you what, you and Schelke on the path, leading the march.
Yeah.
I think the.
we
follow-
will be on the sidelines
I think
cheering
Mayor
you
I'll
on.
have
Schelke
the
has gotten
remote.
involved in a few walks and runs and so on and so
That's
forth.
nice.
I'm gonna rattle off the. I know the way outs are playing at the moment, but we're taping here on Friday, and this will be shown for Saturday and Sunday viewers. And so if I mention these bands, you tell the audience a little bit about what they do. Modern Day Romeos.
Ah, yes. Modern Day Romeos. It is your 70s, 80s, 90s
All right.
music. There's a song for
The
everyone.
MTV crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
MTV, VH1, yeah, you got it.
Radio Gaga.
So you know Lady Gaga.
One of my heroes.
Yep. Are you a Lady Gaga fan?
I think she's very talented. I really do.
Yep. And this is Radio Gaga. So as close as you can get to Lady Gaga, but radio style. So she sings all of the Lady Gaga hits and
Oh my God.
some hits from Queen as well.
All right.
So you're in for a
Gaga
treat. And there's
plus
Queen.
Queen.
there's a video show, there's a light show, so there's a lot of action
And that will be tomorrow at some point in time.
tonight.
Tonight. Well, we won't be able to see that.
Sorry, folks.
Sorry.
Stay
Next
tuned.
year.
Stay tuned.
Next year.
Yep.
Lounge Puppets, the final one I want to throw out.
So that's your rock and roll
That's
band.
for the youngins, if you will.
Is it punk?
No, rock and roll.
Rock and roll,
Yep,
okay.
rock and roll.
All right.
So a lot of 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And Pat
Yep.
would Pat would
And
feel
sing
comfortable
along
with
I
that.
was
songs.
just a kid, right?
So
Right.
those are guilty pleasure songs that you're going to sing in your car on the radio, or like in the highway when nobody can see you.
Or hear you is more important.
Yeah.
We've got all of our traditional rides and so on for the kids and so on, and everybody who is coming to Windmill Days will be able to, get involved with that. But for the golfers out there, you've got a green out in the river, or I should say, they're in the pond, and people are. Pat's going to go out there and take a shot after it later on. But what happened? Did somebody win a big prize?
I'm glad you asked.
Thank you.
I'm glad you asked.
So actually, we are the only festival in the Fox Valley that has a floating green
Nice.
out in the Fox River that you can chip a golf ball onto a floating green and win prizes. So we've got.
It has to stay on the green to win a prize.
Has to stay on the green.
It's
Yep.
a lot like the third hole at Potawatomi.
Yes.
And actually, Potawatomi is one of the prizes. If you get a hole-in-one, you get a foursome to Potawatomi.
Holy cow! And
Or
you're
you
talking
get a golf bag.
Yeah.
A Tour Edge golf bag.
Nice.
And even our friends at Geneva Park District donated, if you land on the green, you get miniature golf passes to Stone Creek.
What if you bounce, but it bounces off? But you actually hit?
Then we give you a
You gotta
Kleenex.
keep it on
We
the
give you a
green.
Kleenex.
There should be a sucker or something. All right, go ahead.
Now, any festival, people come because they do want some food and they want some drink. So let's talk about the food first of all.
Must
What
be
made
hungry.
what made they be able to have while they're here at the festival, and what is your particular favorite?
See, now I'm going to get really hungry talking about this.
Well, that's all right. I haven't had supper yet either myself.
So are either one of you a fan of deep fried food?
The
are-
cardiologist doesn't like it.
No. But we have some deep fried food here.
We have deep fried Oreos.
Oh, sounds like a Texas State Fair.
Nice.
Twinkies
It
and
sounds
Oreos.
like autopsy. Is what it
But deep fried Oreos, okay,
Right.
and I bet they're a big seller.
They're huge. That's my favorite. My favorite
Alright.
dessert. My favorite food. Oh, it's a toss-up, but we do have turkey legs.
We were at Swedish Days. We saw that Geneva also had them, and I don't know if they
I hear
copied
the
off of
Batavia
you.
turkey legs are better. Because you
True
guys are
story.
south, right?
True story.
Yeah, you're southern. Geneva.
But Oreos are your favorite,
Yeah, the
and of
deep-
course they can quaff. We can have a beer here if we want. Can't we?
Absolutely. And in fact, we're piloting craft beer on Sunday. So for those of you watching or
please.
listening, Sunday we're doing Energy City Brewery.
And you say that, and it's important because the Tri-Cities have just boomed with breweries, craft beers, and so on. All three cities have an interesting selection of craft beers and so on. So here's we were in the beer tent in Geneva at Swedish Days. Now we'll be in the beer tent over here as well. And so you do want to come out here and enjoy some of the fine cold drinks. Pat, any further questions for this?
A couple of questions. How many employees do you have at the Park District?
So we have 45 full-time
Wow.
and then part-time and seasonal 150.
Website for the Park District?
Batavia Parks, plural.org.
And for the fest, do you have a website?
windmillcityfest.org.
All right. And then I understand you're going to be singing tomorrow. Is that right or no?
Lip syncing, maybe.
Okay.
Not.
No. Do you just travel around in a golf cart?
Oh gosh, no, I'm everywhere. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday stay open till 11 o'clock. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then Sunday we close things up at
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. So this is for those of you on the weekend. We're going to have fine weather on Saturday and Sunday. So you want to get down here to Windmill Fest here in beautiful Batavia. And
It's very exciting. It's very
we
exciting.
want to thank Allison a whole bunch for taking time to join us here today and to outline for us what we're going to see out we walk around here and have some fun. Pat and I enjoy this simply for the fact that you get the chance to just mingle with people in the town, and it's lighter and it's easier, and kids are enjoying themselves, and kids with ice cream over their faces and so on. So.
And not so many autograph seekers in Batavia as the other cities.
Are we too south? Is that?
What's that?
Are we too south for you? Is that?
No, I'm just saying,
They'll still ask. People still ask for your autographs. You're still.
Loft, baby, loft.
This world is exploding.
Not bad. Not bad.
Bullets loaded. You're old enough to kill. Nothing voting, you don't believe in war, what's that gun you're toting? Dream Jordan River has bodies floating, but you tell me over and over and over again, my friend, I don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. Don't you understand what I'm trying to say? Makes me feel the fear, I feel it today. The button is pushed, there's no running away, there's no hiding place, the world is gray. Take a look around, the bullets out.
Liability.
To make the break that we are on the brink of. Look up, it's on the table.
Hello, friends. This is Ray Rogina. You face technology challenges every day that threaten to steal business, compromise data, and bring your business down. Without a good partner to help protect from phishing, ransomware, viruses, data breaches, employee turnover, and cybersecurity threats, your business is at risk of losing everything. TechWorks has been the trusted IT partner to Fox Valley businesses for over 20 years, keeping systems secure and providing extraordinary customer service, helping your business grow. Call TechWorks today at 630-482-2227 or visit www.techworks.com. That's TechWorks with a Q, TEQ Works, and see how TechWorks IT service can transform and secure your business. Hello, friends. This is Ray Rogina. I'd like to say a few words about my friends at the Karis Group of Restaurants, one of our sponsors. I've been a frequent guest at all of their fine restaurants for years, one of which is Rookies, which has locations throughout the Fox Valley and beyond. My favorite dish at Rookies is the gyros plate with the Saganaki appetizer. Oopa! My wife, she loves the Hall of Fame chicken sandwich. But I can honestly say that I've never had a bad meal there, regardless of whatever I've had to eat. The wings are out of this world, the salads are delicious, great burgers, tacos, all American specialties, and don't forget their pizza. And of course, you can wash this all down with one of their famous Mai Tais. Try them out. St. Charles, Geneva, Elgin, Hoffman Estates, Huntley, and Roselle. RookiesPub.com. I'll see you there. We're back, and we're pleased to be in the Batavia Depot Historical Museum. And who do we have with us today? None other than Kate Garrett, I'm going to call the curator, the one in charge of this museum. Kate, first of all, pleasure having you here, and thanks for taking Pat and I on this tour of Batavia, its history, both the railroad, and downtown, and whatever else you're going to come up with.
I am very excited to have you here. Thank you for coming out.
And no relation to the Garrett popcorn people.
Unfortunately, no. Wish I could say yes, but
good.
it's great popcorn. It doesn't beat the Batavia Popcorn Depot.
Oh,
popcorn,
nice plug. Very
just
well,
down the road from
well
us,
done.
and has an amazing history in downtown Batavia. It's been
All right.
there since the late 1900s.
Let's take the tour.
Love it. So we're going to start off actually over here with our section that's about rail history in Batavia. This exhibit is called The Ticket to the Past, and it's one of our more hands-on, kid-friendly spaces in the museum. A lot of folks come to the museum because they hear the word depot in the title and they think it's about trains, they think it's about rail history. We have great rail history in Batavia, as do most of the communities up and down the Fox Valley, because they're so connected to industry and so connected to a broader Midwestern economy. So in Batavia, we had two main lines that ran through town. We had the CB&Q line and the Chicago Northwestern line.
Right.
Both of those lines are now trails. So right outside our front door here.
That's right.
And you can get pretty much all the way up and down the Fox River on those old rail lines, because that used to be the lifeblood of our industrial communities.
I ran the Western Trail the other day. It's just
How was
a
it?
beautiful gem in our environment here. I love it. It's so peaceful.
I went to Batavia to buy a new TV remote.
Fantastic. Did it work?
Yes. We're just comparing lines.
Fair enough. He's running, we're buying a TV.
Yes, that's right.
I love it. Well, in the mid-1800s in Batavia, we had a couple of major players in the infrastructure scene who settled here in Batavia. One of them was a guy named John Van Nortwick, and he had a lot to do with both the CB&Q and the Chicago Northwestern, and he got incredibly rich doing so. So we actually have a lot of funding came from that family to help support the museum later on down the line. We've got a whole room in the museum that's just about that family and their impact.
And you named a street after
That's what I was
We
going to
named a
say.
lot after him,
Yes.
absolutely. The Van Nortwick family were very influential. There's really nothing, if we've got a couple of maps down here. This is a great example. The Van Nortwick family plotted the first plat map in Batavia, brought in the CB&Q line here, brought in the Chicago Northwestern line up over here. They also engineered the mill pond here. So there's been lots of conversations in Batavia about our dam up in this area. And then this section all used to just be intermittent wetland until Van Nortwick built an embankment down at First Street, down over here. And needed all of that water to generate water power for his factories.
Now, was this simply a freight line or their passengers?
Both and.
Okay, Batavia stopped, so where was it coming from and where was it headed to?
The CB&Q line came down from Aurora and up to West Chicago. It is what we call a spur line. It just connected those two towns. The other side, the Chicago Northwestern line, ran, I'm not sure I'm going to remember where it started and stopped, but Aurora pretty much up to Geneva. And then they had another line that came down on the other side of the river.
All right.
So there were two stations. One was the Chicago and Northwestern line that ran here, and the building that you're standing in right now was the other one. So this is the
Was
original.
Batavia bigger than it is now? I mean, how many railroads do we need?
It's interesting because it had a lot of industrial weight behind it. A lot of factories here in Batavia, a lot of things were made here, sold and shipped out across the country.
Nice.
But it wasn't big compared necessarily to many of its neighbors. Certainly nothing like Aurora, certainly nothing like Elgin.
Right.
But just really well connected because we had great natural
No
resources. Yeah, absolutely. And
Look at this beautiful picture over here.
I love this
I love to have our audience get a picture of this.
Yes.
Because here comes the big locomotive, and they're taking pictures of this as they're coming in. So I assume this is right outside here.
yeah, that's correct. So the building that you're in right now is the 1854 Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Depot. And it's been relocated. It was actually moved to its present location on the back of a truck. They hauled it across the river and set it up here in 1973. So we're coming up on our anniversary here very soon.
Yes, you're right.
All right, let's go somewhere else.
Shall we do it? Let's head downstairs. I want to show you guys some of my favorite objects in the collection.
Now, wasn't there also, wasn't Batavia a part of the freedom slave?
Got a whole case about that right over
Am I
here.
right, though?
You are right,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, let's start.
So
Go
this,
ahead.
you're right, absolutely right. We had a fella in town, and you guys you have legal background, is that correct?
I
Yes,
do.
yes.
He
You
used to
do.
teach law.
He used to teach law, okay. So I don't know if you're familiar with the name Lockwood, but Samuel Lockwood was on the 2nd Illinois Supreme Court. He retired to Batavia
Right.
and lived here after his experience, but they say that he's the one who actually administered the bar exam to Abraham Lincoln.
Huh.
So we have a record in the Lincoln collection of a letter that Lockwood wrote to him, and he has annotated it. Mr. Lockwood is one of the best men in the world. File. This is something I want to keep.
Is that
forever.
because he passed the first time?
Maybe, probably. I don't know how many times it took you to pass the bar.
Well,
but
that's an interesting question. When Pat has his own podcast, we can do that.
fair enough.
But,
Sam Lockwood
Hopefully
was
soon.
an outspoken abolitionist, and there was a group in King County that advocated very openly, very staunchly for abolition, and not just abolition, which was not that uncommon, but abolition and equality.
Right.
The King County Anti-Slavery Society, I believe is what it was called. And we had a number of Batavia residents, but all the communities up and down the Fox had great representation in that, including the Pinkertons, who I think were from St. Charles.
Right.
So I believe there's a St. Charles connection there.
But so the railroad, the slave railroad, went
The
through
Underground
Batavia
Railroad.
underground?
We definitely have some evidence of people claiming after the fact that they were involved in that.
Right.
It was a borderline, it was an illegal activity to do at the time.
Sure.
So actual documentation of it, a little light on the ground. It's hard to actually say.
Haven't
for
we
sure.
found part of a
Good
railroad?
question.
Yes.
So oftentimes we'll have folks who will find in their cellars or in their basements in their homes tunnels. And it seems like maybe they have some connection to things that you don't want people to know that you're doing. In a lot of cases, those tunnels are more associated with bootlegging and rum running. than they are with anti-slavery work. But we have a couple, there's a church in town that definitely has like a hiding space.
Right.
That we know of for sure.
Who is this gentleman here?
So remember we talked about the Van Nortwicks earlier?
There he is.
This is one of the later generations of Van Nortwicks. This is William B. Van Nortwick. And William B. Van Nortwick was a descendant of John Van Nortwick, who was the first guy who kind of plotted the maps, built the railroads, did all of that kind of work. So William inherited quite a lot of money, and he inherited a lot of social position in town, which meant that he could go ahead and learn about art history. That was his passion, was artwork and history. Very cool story about him, and I don't know if you're familiar with this at all or not yet, but he served in World War II and in Korea. We've got his medals in the painting here. We have his original medals on display in the room just behind you. And he worked with the Monuments Men and that squad of people who, because of his expertise in art history, he was able to figure out which art pieces had belonged to which
George
families.
Clooney movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What, just for the record here, what is the year of Batavia's incorporation as a city?
Oh gosh, you're really testing me on that one. I don't
Well,
know.
and I only asked that question because I want to say it may be older than, but I'm not positive, older than Geneva or St. Charles.
I know
I'm not sure.
our first European settlement in Batavia was 1833. Incorporation as a city came much later. That was in the later 19th century.
Okay,
Well, Illinois didn't become a state till 1818.
That's right.
I understand.
Okay.
And there were some significant barriers to settlement, European settlement. Do you guys know what changed in the 1830s that made Batavia a more comfortable place for Europeans to settle?
Tell us.
Oh, okay. I was quizzing you guys, but I'm happy to do it. The end of the Black Hawk Wars. So lots of cessation of violence and treaties were enacted, and a lot of people who had been living here for millennia ahead of time were moved on elsewhere.
Peace brings change.
The next room.
All right.
The next room. So this is the Van Nortwick room, and this is actually one of my favorite pieces
Is
in
this
the
a
collection.
bed and breakfast?
Oh gosh, would that be amazing? I think it would be great to have the caboose outside turned into a bed and breakfast. I just
She's
can't
putting
figure out
gloves
how
on,
to do
Zach.
that.
I don't know.
Oh, man, that's just leaning out low.
No.
You're okay, but one of the things we do to keep the artifacts safe is that we don't get the oils from our skin on them. This is one of those pieces that we want to take especially good care of because it is so valuable and so precious.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna play this a little bit here for you. This is our music box.
Oh, line's nice.
Beautiful tone.
A real husband would get his wife music box.
A real husband does one of these. A pretty decent husband does one of those.
It's beautiful.
One of my
What is that
favorite-
song?
This one I think is the Bells of Alempi.
Kevin, was that by the band?
There are 6 songs on this cylinder. So if you want a new song, you gotta pay for a whole new cylinder.
Yeah.
Which makes this a very expensive toy. Perfect for a family like the Van
Any idea what this is worth?
I wouldn't even begin to guess. Significant sums for sure.
All right.
I like using it to talk about the way simple machines can be so effective. John Van Nortwick, who's in the portrait just behind you over here, was an industrialist. He was an industrial capitalist. That was his job, was to put investment on the ground and make machines do work and create prosperity. A machine like this uses all the same parts and components as his mills, things that he was using to saw lumber and make flour and make paper, and then later on windmills, which Batavia is so famous for. And I like this one too because it's the simplest kind of computer programming. It's either on or off, it's a 1 or a 0. Either the time is making a sound or it's not. So it's a great way to explain to kids how complicated you can make something with just really simple coding information.
All right, where's next?
Shall we head downstairs?
Please.
Let's do it. So this is sort of our hidden gem exhibit down here. People see the upstairs and they're like, oh, this is a nice little museum. And then they come downstairs and they go, oh, there's a lot more. Obviously the wagon takes up the biggest space down here. Newton Wagon was the big wagon manufacturer for farm wagons. in the United States for a lot of the 19th century. And eventually they turned into the Batavia Body Company, which made ice cream trucks and other refrigerated truck bodies. Our oldest artifact in the exhibit is this one right over here. And it's teeny tiny, so it's easy to miss. But it's this little Clovis spear point down here. The Clovis people, being here in Batavia means that we definitely had human occupation here as early as 12,000 BC, which is wild to think about.
Right.
Well, some dentist here didn't do his job very well.
No, it came right out, didn't it?
What is that? I know they were teeth, but
Mastodon tooth.
mastodon.
Yeah, you need
My
those
grandson would
big
like to
molars.
see that.
Necessary for all that plant eating.
They were affiliated with the Whigs, weren't they?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
So we have a small showcase here of some of the material culture from the tribal people, the native people who had been here prior to European settlement. When the Europeans came in about 1833, the first guy who settled was a guy named Christopher Payne. And he set up a cabin and planted a field of potatoes and then hightailed it back to Naperville where it was safe.
Oh, yeah.
And then came out the next year and settled more permanently. Excavations at his cabin site have turned up all of this cool material over here. Probably not all from Payne, probably from the people who moved in after him, which were the Wilsons. They have a whole street named after them now.
I remember that.
I see a picture here in a statue, if you will, of a Linawick Indian. And
Yes.
of course, our producer is very happy about that
Oh,
because
we have a Illini.
he is a fighting Illini.
Oh, very cool.
And talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah.
The number of other tribes that are indicated here.
Yeah, the most recent tribe in proximity to European settlement were the Potawatomi.
Right.
The Potawatomi had a very strong presence here down in Mill Creek. They had an encampment there. The Illinois were a little bit before them. And this is not my area of specialty, so I definitely recommend talking to somebody who knows more about this than I do. But the diversity of culture that had been here in Batavia for so many generations previously, it's very difficult to map all of that outside of the artifacts. And we can look at those, and that gives us a pretty good sense of who was living here when. But there's no written records, there's no oral records for us to follow down through. We do know that it was a really robust, plentiful place to live. That's why so many people still do live here. The resources are top-notch. So this is one of the exhibit spaces that we change out routinely. It'll be different if you come in August, but right now, we don't usually get to show the textiles in our collections very well. We wanted to put some things out that were associated for our women's exhibit with the work that women did with their activity as agents in their community, because it's easy to forget about that when you're just reading about so-and-so's wife. So we wanted to have tools that they used, things that they held, things that touched their skin, and really try to humanize those women who helped to build our community. So we've got a variety of dresses from the 1880s all the way up until the 1960s. This was Lucille Gustafson's. She was on the board for Wabanzi. Big educator herself. So.
Any relation to the research center?
Yes, their sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the Gustafson family was huge. Swedish immigrants, tons of kids, really into history and art and education, and what a legacy they've left
And
for us.
of course, there's a Gustafson School here.
It's a Gustafson school, also related. Yes.
Now, this looks like something that Mary Todd would wear.
It does a little bit.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
Dark, deep.
Dark, deep. Mary Todd Lincoln was sort of the American Queen Victoria in that way.
Right.
She spent a lot of time in mourning children, mourning the death of her husband. And for a few months was here in Batavia as she was recovering from some of the grief of that.
Where did she stay?
She stayed in a place called Bellevue, Bellevue Place, in the care of Dr. Patterson. And she hated every minute of it. Poor thing. But her son, her adult son, Robert, at the time thought that this was necessary for her safety and for her long-term care.
So it's
I've read a lot of scholarship on the topic.
Yeah.
I don't know where you fall on the.
Well, she was committed like you
She
could
was.
commit somebody today
Yeah.
involuntarily. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not her choice,
No.
not her desire, but She wasn't here for very long either. She's only here 3 months, and then she successfully petitioned the Court of Public Opinion for her release.
But she had good things to say about Batavia. I may have been
You'll have to
embellish.
show me those references, because I'm not. The only thing that I've ever heard her say about Batavia is that it is dirty and loud. But she did not like it.
Not
But
very good.
It's not
she
dirty.
lived right up the road from the main stone quarry in town. So yeah, it was dirty. This was an industrial town. This worked. This town.
And I might add, the beauty of the buildings across the way here off of Wilson, they've been converted into beautiful offices. They were part of the quarry, stone.
Yes.
That's something. Anyway,
Yeah.
listen, we won't take too much more of your time. We want to thank you
Thanks for
so
visiting
much
us today.
for giving us a glimpse into the past of Batavia. And
Oh, I hope so too.
thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
for
Thank
visiting.
you very much.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
At McNally Heating and Cooling, we understand that customer satisfaction starts with arriving at your home on time. Your service technician will apply the same attention to detail and quality workmanship to every job, large or small. We offer upfront, honest pricing, and we'll make sure the job gets done right from start to finish. From furnace and air conditioning service, minor repairs, or total equipment replacement, we do it all. Give us a call or find us online and let the luck of the Irish work for you.
And we're outside the beer tent. You can hear the band in the background, and it's raining. But, Pat,
It's a mist.
what about Windmill Fest? What about the museum?
I can't tell you. I lived so close to Batavia most of my life, and I didn't know as much as I learned today. It's a wonderful experience.
I'm going to tell you
I've
something.
enjoyed it all.
I want to just say this, and they'll see this on the record. I never met two more professional women than Allison and Kate.
Yes.
They were terrific. They gave us a lot of information, and Batavia should be very proud of them. Now, having said that, it's time to go. And so, Kevin and Paul and Pat and I, we're headed over here to the merry-go-round and the tilt-a-whirl. Meanwhile, all of you stay safe from Windmill Fest in Batavia. So long, everyone.